mating pair as they walked towards the Djuma Dam, which of course is just down there. They are going on there. I'm just going to walk around the vehicle and I'll show you where they went. So you can see them, well, you can't see them there, but they're across over here. And they're walking straight down there. Straight down that way. So let's drive down there and see if we can't see anything. Don't know how fresh they are. Like I say, I think they might be from last night before they got to the Djuma Dam. Good old Jigger's door is going to fall off and it'll be a blessed day one day. To know what Christmas pudding is in Africa. Well, in South Africa, Christmas pudding for me certainly has always been a traditional sort of fruitcake type Christmas pudding, and that is served with brandy butter, not made by me because it's disgusting, and cream. And that's what it has been in my family. Andrew, is that pretty much your understanding?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what it is. Right, let's head across to Brent. We'll follow these tracks for a while, see what Brent's come up with, and hopefully see you with some lions a little later.
Welcome back. We've got a birdie here that doesn't fly. I've actually got two. Let's get the one first, the safety. And if he turns around, I'm pretty sure that's a Levalance cuckoo. One of the brood parasites that like starlings. And its old name was a striped cuckoo. There's another cuckoo that looks very, very similar to that called the Jacobin, but it lacks all the barring on the neck and chest. Just lion audio. Sorry, I had to take my earpiece out there. I just thought I heard lions. It wasn't. It was the Christmas celebration. Oh, he's got something while I was trying to listen. What has he got? What is it there, Tezzy? You got the super zoom. Looks like a grasshopper. Oh, there we go, Christmas kill. And what the low sound that I thought were lion calls was actually the communities on the edge of the reserve dropping the bass like it's hot at, I don't know what time it is, but very early in the morning to be listening to music that loud. Oh, and I'm hoping I can spot. Yes, you can hear James calling me. Standing by, James.
BLS, where did you have your last tracks?
So some of them crossed at Chillicut Line Junction Central. Others went along Drakensberg towards Guaripa, and I've checked there, nothing came out there.
Okay, copy that. And confirm the tracks that you had heading down central towards Gari Dam. Did you have those tracks? I'm assuming they're from last night.
It looks like some of the lines came from Quarantine side and the others came from Central. So I think there possibly might be a male still on the property.
Okay, copy, thanks. And what was your route from where you are now? From Guaripa Road?
I'm on Drakensberg heading south, and there were tracks heading sort of due north, and they cut into the block between Chillicut Line and Drakensberg, and I think they might have joined up with the tracks that crossed at Central. So I'm just going to do another big loop through this area and hopefully pick up some audio. So wasn't that nice little Levalance cuckoo? And I'm just trying to... I think I saw a very beautiful bird, but I'm hoping it hasn't escaped us. I think it has. It was an oriole. It looked like an African golden oriole, but it has flown on, as shall we. So I still think there is a lion around. Just really, really close view of this if it doesn't fly. Levaillant's cuckoo. The one joy of the little camera, although we don't have a monitor to see what's going on, the super zoom it affords you guys is incredible. And you can see the stripes on its breast very nicely. And its other name or old name was a striped cuckoo. Now a Levaillant's cuckoo. Levaillant was an ornithologist who wandered around Africa in the 1800s. So there's quite a few different birds named after him. There's also a Levaillant's cisticula. He's a Frenchman. And let's go see if we can find something slightly bigger. And, well, there we go. James, who emailed saying his bird is nearly on 50. And hopefully we can see a few birds this morning. Oh, this is just lion tracks appearing everywhere. Very confusing. They're just tracks all over the place. Very welcome little bit of respite from the heat this morning with a bit of a nice cool breeze and some cloud, but it looks like the cloud is breaking up and it'll be another steamy day. Well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday. Merry Christmas, Andrea from Tucson. Andrea would like a little update. She missed the first bit of the Christmas morning sunrise safari. Andrea, from what we can make out, some of the lion tracks have crossed over our boundary, and we now just, James and I are looping in the same area. There are a lot of tracks around just to see if possibly some of them did not stay within our realm. Wattled starlings feeding in the short grasses. Nice little flock of wattled starlings. You can see the males with that prominent yellow and black growths on their face that give them their name. And they will lose that for the dry season, only have it on during the wet season. And you can see how they cooperatively sort of move through an area at quite speed, trying to disturb insects. And you can see those wattles on the males, that's where the starlings get their name from. There we go. Not lions, but starlings, but we will continue on. go, a little red-crested quahan. Disappearing behind the bushes there. Come on, pop out again. Oh, there he goes. Not the most relaxed little quahan. It disappears off. But another one for the Christmas bird list. So I'm also keeping my eye out for a special butterfly today. And we have seen it on the live safaris. And it's called a Christmas tree acria because it's so brightly colored. Hopefully, because it's Christmas, we will find one. We should check one of the least checked roads on the Djuma road called Leadwood Road, one of my favorite roads. I've had quite a bit of success recently on that road, and it is where Quarantine and Djuma in the last 2 months have both killed kudu, and it was the first place I was lucky enough to witness the Birmingham boys on their first really solid push to chase away the Matimba males. It seems like an age ago now, and the Birminghams are the dominant males, and the Matimbas are down in the south, a long way away from here. Merry Christmas, Gavin, who's 8 years old. I think we'll have to get James to sing you a song a little later for Christmas. And Gavin would like to know how our Christmas morning in the bush has been so far. Gavin, it's been splendid. Well, I slept in a little bit. Instead of waking up at 3:45 in the morning, I decided I'd give myself an extra 15 minutes and I only woke up at 4. So, little treat on Christmas. And other than that, we went through, had a nice cup of coffee, and because it's Christmas, instead of having milk in our coffee, we had cream. So that was a little treat as well. We haven't opened any presents yet, and we have a tree which is outside, and we can't leave the Christmas presents under the tree in case the monkeys steal them. They are locked up, and then when we get back from the safari, we will open our presents. So no lion tracks on Leadwood Road so far, but we are only at the beginning of it. And after being so vocal last night, I heard the lions roaring from about 10 o'clock. I have not heard a peep out of them this morning. Maybe they are on a Christmas go-slow. We are on a tracking expedition at the moment. Oh dear. Some lion tracks here, but they're not as fresh. I think these are from yesterday. And speaking of that, Matt in Atlanta would like to know how to tell how fresh tracks are. These you might not even be able to pick them up with the camera. There they are. So I can see that these are not fresh because the wind has blown the edges away. It's not sharp, and this particular one's also been driven over by a car, which also lends me to believe it is not too fresh. And also you look for the tracks of other small animals like insects and birds. And as you can see, it's not a very good track, so it's an old track. But you look at the wear and tear on the track, so fresh tracks are really nice and prominent and clear, and especially now on a windy morning like this. The wind hasn't had a chance to round the edges yet. Spotted tabs, a pair of bateleur sitting in the tree. Ruffled up from the wind. They'll probably get moving. Oh, there we go, a little ruffle. Get moving in a little bit, see what they can find. Incredibly good eyesight. Often one of the first predatory birds to arrive at a carcass. They are related. They are a type of snake eagle. Is that thunder? Or was that music from the village? Music. It's amazing that probably 15 kilometers away, and we can hear the deep bass beat of a party, I think, that is continuing on from last night.
More birds in the other.
Yeah, there'll be more bats there. We often see them around here, and they like to sleep in these dead trees. So a lot of your bigger predatory birds prefer to roost in dead trees because there's not so much stuff to catch in their wings, and they can take off and land easily. Merry Christmas, Gail! Gail would like to know why Cape buffalo were not domesticated for food or for milking. Well, Gail, it's because they cantankerous and can be very dangerous. They don't have the best of temperaments, and also to catch them is quite difficult. So you would have to catch a few and even possibly young ones to domesticate them, and the herd would probably not stand with that. And we're quite soft and squishy, so they probably would have squished most people who tried. So while we are continuing our search for a Christmas cat, let's go to James, who's got a Christmas antelope.
And there is Christmas kudu, while Brent looks for Christmas cats. Not a particularly confiding one, and of course he thinks getting a little desperate out here for animals. This is not unusual on a blustery day. The animals do tend to hide a bit from us. He's a lovely young bull, and he's probably just over a year old. You can see 2 years old. You can see his horns have almost completed their first full twist, and that will make him 2 years old. He's enjoying some Christmas combritum there. You like my use of alliteration there, Andrew?
Wonderful.
Christmas combritum, thank you. Christmas kudu is also alliteration, although not strictly, just in case you were wondering.
The Jesus bug.
Something like that. And he's just very peacefully grazing, unfortunately, north into Buffelshoek. Hook. Hello, Gavin. You're in Illinois and you're only 8 years old, which begs the question as to what on earth you're still doing up at the moment. I suppose because it's Christmas Eve, you're allowed to still be awake, and you want to know how our Christmas morning is going. That's very kind of you to ask. Our Christmas morning is going beautifully, just because it's Christmas mainly. We're not going very well in terms of the lion tracking, but that's okay. It's just nice to be out here and very nice to be chatting to everybody who's watching as we go through this lovely Christmas morning in Africa. Thank you, Gavin. Now, don't forget that your presents will probably not be delivered by Santa unless you close your eyes and go to sleep at some stage tonight. And do not forget to leave the old man a mince pie and something nice to drink. 12-year-old single malt will probably go down a bit better than some milk. And Diane, yes, very good question on that score. Has Santa delivered his presents to me yet? No, Diane. Santa was being very remiss in his duties. He didn't deliver me anything. Andrew, did you get anything this morning?
No, Santa wasn't on form today.
No, Santa, I think, somehow neglected the Kruger National Park yesterday evening. None of us got any gifts. We will hopefully, I think there is I think there might be one gift each sitting back at camp. Whether Santa delivered them or not remains to be seen. We'll see what the card says on them. They're sitting under the scraggly Christmas tree now, I hope. In fact, we couldn't leave them under the tree because the monkeys would have got into the camp and ripped them up. Jenny, very well spotted. You picked up that kudu and nyala are perhaps related. They are, Jenny. We get 3 of what we call the tragelaphid or spiral-horned antelope out here. The bushbuck is the smallest example, sort of an impala-sized one, not very common, but we do find them sometimes. And then the nyala is the most common one in this area, in between the bushbuck and this kudu size. And that kudu is a sort of you probably can't get the impression of his size. A big bull kudu weighs about 270 kilos, so that's a female at about 230 kilograms, which is about 480 to 500 pounds. So pretty big. And a nyala about, what would a nyala be? A nyala about half that size. So yes, absolutely. And then there are 2 other wonderful examples of the spiral-horned antelope, the largest one being the eland, which is an enormous one, weighing up to 750 kilograms, which would put it at about almost 2,000 pounds. And then there's another beautiful sort of nyala-sized one in the Central African rainforests called a bongo. Isn't that a wonderful name for an antelope? A bongo. They only occur in the deep depths of the Central African rainforests. Right, let us press along, hopefully for our Christmas cats, as Brent says. Well done, Andrew. That was an epic kudu effort. On we go. So we're all kind of, Brent and I are both circling around the same area, hoping to find some tracks around here. So we're now on the down the northeastern corner of the reserve. Brian, you want to know what a mince pie is? Brian, how can you not know what a mince pie is? You haven't had Christmas if you haven't had mince pies. A mince pie, Brian, is a kind of a little pastry filled with mincemeat, but the mincemeat is made of dried fruits. I'm not sure what else goes into it. I think a little bit of brandy. There's a lot of brandy around in Christmas foods. A few almonds, a bit of sugar, and then you eat it with either brandy butter or cream or ice cream. They're delicious. My mother makes very nice ones, and And quite an interesting sort of story while we're driving down the cut line here, looking and not very much, hoping for some lion tracks. My mother got her recipe from my grandmother, my father's mother, and she had fairly bad handwriting, which explains why I have such bad handwriting. And one of the ingredients she thought was onions, and for many, many years she'd put onions in the mince pies, and nobody kind of noticed until one day my aunt said, "Did you put onions in the mince pies?" And my mother said, "Yes, of course, I've been putting them in the mince pies for 20 years. She said, "Well, why?" The original sort of coffee-stained and ancient recipe was retrieved, and my aunt, who of course is my father's sister, said, "That does not say onions, it says almonds." So for many years we were eating very oniony flavoured mince pies. They're not supposed to have any onions in them. I suspect it's a British tradition rather than an American one. Like eggnog. Andrew and I were discussing eggnog again when we went off air, and we both decided we're not sure we can eat them. Gavin, 8 years old, you are still awake because your mother is finishing off her Christmas treats for Santa. Good for you, Gavin. I remember being your age and being completely unable to sleep on Christmas Eve, sorry. And I hope you are able to get a few hours of sleep. Nothing greater than waking up with a pillowcase or stocking at the base of your bed with little treats in it. There's been some buffalo up and down the cut line. Maybe they were harassed a little bit by the lions. Lions could well have gone to ground sort of in a block somewhere around here, especially when it's a bit blustery like this. They'll just lie down and hunker down in the thick bush. Brent is just to the sort of southwest of us there in the block. I'm just actually listening to what he's found. He's just giving Craig an update of where he was looking. There we go. These are, I think, the buffalo, I suspect quite strongly, that Brent found earlier. Some mongoose. Thanks, Andrew, for pointing out the Christmas mongoose. Do you think we can go back to them? Right, let's go back to the mongoose. You've seen these very buffalo with Brent already. Kilometers back, yeah. Oh, never the mark. Oh, look at that. Well spotted that. Christmas mongoose. Isn't that sweet? Look at them little dwarf mongoose. Just coming out for their Christmas day. Yawn. Did you see that yawn?
Morning, Bernie. Mary. Just go again with the location.
Those two are having a fight. Obviously, one got a nicer present than the other. So sweet. And I always love the way that these things are completely unlike so many of the other animals in the bush. They don't come out at first light. They only come out when it's sufficiently warm. They're late sleepers. And they go to bed very early as well. They don't like to hang about at night. That little one came from about 10 meters away at a very high speed indeed. Oh, look at them yawning. Obviously just got up. What a perfect little mound they have to live in. So that termite mound there, everybody, is grown by, or built by, a termite called Odontothermes. It's also a fungus-growing termite, same as the sort of termites that make those enormous castles of clay. But this particular one is a different species. That's as big as their mound gets, and they're obviously an extensive network of tunnels and that sort of thing, including fungus gardens under the ground. When the termites leave, the mongoose will take over. Often also black mambas and snakes like that will live in these mounds, so those mongoose will have to be fairly careful. And just sitting here listening, of course, just if we can't hear a contact call from a lion, oh, something like that. Those two mating lions that were seen on the Djuma Dam cam have just been found now on Torchwood, exactly where Brent said, the tracks were going. This is a wonderful sighting of these little things. They're only about sort of 10 meters away from us, 33 feet. Jan in Los Angeles, you say, when we're prepared to try eggnog, you will try mince pies. They sound yuck. They're not yuck at all, Jan, but fair enough. I don't think I've done them justice in their description. So sweet. They'll head out and go foraging just now. First they will clean each other, wake up at a leisurely pace, and then wander out to forage. Just love the way they're yawning. That just is so classic. Barbara, you say that it's for sure that I've never tasted eggnog or my attitude to it would change. I have no doubt it would. It's just the thought of it that I can't get over. I'm sure if somebody was to make me some delicious eggnog, I might be able to be persuaded otherwise. Andrew's looking very suspicious. He thinks that he would not be convinced. So, Edward, you say that while we're looking at these dwarf mongoose, talking about Christmas traditions, you say the mince pies are probably a British tradition where you in America eat more fruitcakes. Yeah, that could well be the case. We certainly have fruitcake here as well for Christmas, and the Christmas pudding is a kind of fruitcakey type thing. And then there's also the Christmas cake, which is a fruitcake. I find many people these days, when you tell them fruitcake, they look very askance at you. I think it's delicious. Look at them, just warming up. Chilled out day they're going to have, wandering about, eating the odd millipede, perhaps some scorpions for Christmas lunch, maybe the odd termite, a grasshopper or two. That sound like a nice Christmas lunch, Andrew? Scorpions and scorpions and grasshoppers. Let's head across to Brent. He's got you a tiny baby of something much larger.
Brent, come in, Brent.
So, we have got a tiny Christmas Ellie. I'll be with you in a second. Standing by, Craig. Look at it. That's probably
Just an update from Kristen. You've got waterhole
5 or 6 days old.
south from Gary Gate, and then crossing east into Wildebeests. There you are.
Look how small that one is. As I said, a couple of days old at the most. Still wobbly on its feet. definitely won't have any use of its trunk yet. It's a nice big herd of eddies. I can see at least 16 already. I'm sure there's a few more I've missed. Look at that. Isn't that cute?
Thank you.
Very, very sweet. So just a quick update. There's lion tracks we were following. They have been found to the east of us. Oh, we're about to be surrounded by ellies. Hello. Good morning, madam. Oh, yes, you're very scary. I'm running away at great speed. Yes. This young female giving us a bit of a head shake. And she's probably about 4 foot, 5 foot from the vehicle. Just reminding us that she's a big, strong elephant, but now back to feeding, and more important. Oopsie. Sorry about the open game drive comms, they can be a bit noisy. There's a Christmas wrestling match between, looks like probably about 2-year-old little boys. So we're completely surrounded by elephants. We have elephants behind us, in front of us. Oh, look at that tree. You just see the tree about to almost look like, there we go, waving around. The elephants have decided that is their Christmas tree, so they're going to take it down. And almost timber. Timber! Let's see who that female is. Hello, girlie, right behind us. I'm just going to wait till she moves before I start. And with Ellie, it's always important to... There she is, she's got a little fight. That's why I waited till she was a bit further away. Always important to let, especially in a very strong windy day like this, let the vehicle run for a few seconds before you move on. And they do have that little tiny baby, so I'm not going to follow them through the bush too much. And we've had such a good sighting. Let's go see the landscaper, what it's up to. Looks like a young bull who tore down that combretum or bush willow. Hello, little boy. Oh, quite a big boy now, probably around 20 years old. And look at that. Pushed down the whole tree for one little branch. Oh, in the road. We've got another very rare animal in the road ahead of us. It's a ground hornbill. Oh, this looks like there's a few more. I just saw some wing flutters. So I'm going to try to get a little bit closer, and we'll say goodbye to these ellies for now. I think they might pop out around the treehouse waterhole later. Good place to check. It looks like a couple of ground hornbills, and very important for us to go check up on the ground hornbills. They are very endangered, less than 300 breeding pairs in the whole country. And we do, every time we see them, we update it, and that information goes through to the Ground Hornbill Trust, or I can't remember the full name of it, so they can keep a track on all the ground hornbills in South Africa. Walking down the road, and there's another one to the right that's going to come walk out, and it looks like it might even have something in its beak. Oh, there's 3 that I can see. Let's sneak forward a bit again. So they live in family groups. There we go. And the oldest female will generally be the only one that mates. And all the other females will find nesting sites. And if anything disturbs that nesting site, they'll often abandon it and sometimes not mate again for a long time. Just caught something on the ground. Just trying to get forward enough. Are we going to have enough rolling space? Those were good? Cool. So there are 3 here. From what I can see, 1 female and 2 males. Now, the females have a little blue spot in that red wattle below their face. So at the moment, the female will be sitting on a nest. She's digging through some buffalo dung, looking for any insects that might be in it. And they're very long-lived for birds. They can live up to about 40, 45. Oh. Now it's going to look in the hollows in that tree as well for potential prey. And sometimes when they climb up like that, they might call. That would be fantastic, one of the best calls in the bush. Listen to that, it's hammering on the rotten marula wood, trying to scare anything out. Come on, give us a little Christmas call. Yeah, listen to that. Did you hear that? What was that, elephants? No. Sound. Oh, sorry, I had my earpiece and I just had to take it out quickly. I heard a bit of a scream. Almost thought it might be leopard, but I think it was those ellies. Just going to try and get us another view of this hornbill in the tree. Hopefully it doesn't fly. Oh, and off it goes. Let's just move forward a little bit again. They will actually collect food out here and take it back to the females sitting on the nest, and it'll be a collective family effort. So Brian is wondering if anyone's trying to help the ground hornbill population develop. And there we go, sifting through some dung again, looking for potential prey. Yes, there's quite a few different projects that are aiding ground hornbills. I'm going to move off and continue foraging. We're going to do the same, except we're not foraging for food, we're foraging for Karula. I'm going to head to the area where her tracks were last seen and see if we can find any more. Merry Christmas to Jennifer Turner. And Jennifer would like to know how big ground hornbills are. Jennifer, they are about 70 centimeters in height, so about the size of a turkey. But we won't be eating them for Christmas lunch. That would be a very hefty fine and possibly some jail time. I would prefer not to be spending my Christmas behind bars. Siberia seems to think the ground hornbills look like the godfathers of the bird mob. And you could probably say that, Siberia. They're incredibly apt hunters, and they feed often off venomous snakes such as black mambas and puff adders. From James Richard on Twitter. He loves seeing the ground hornbill. It's his favorite bird on Djuma. Now, many times I've driven past this termite mound, and when it's in this funny light like this, you have a look there, Tebsy, it looks like a leopard sitting there. It's even got ears, but it is just one of the towers from the termite mound, the small one on the left. And especially when the light's a little bit dark, it looks like a leopard every time you drive past. I've even had Andrew convinced it was a leopard the one day. As we leave those wonderful birds, Deborah in Canada is asking, why isn't there a bird ring on that ground hornbill? Would an organization come out and ban them? Deborah, there are so few ground hornbills, and they have very set territories that the researchers don't need to ban them and will know where they are or what areas they frequent. And also, with an endangered species like that, the risk of catching it, and it's a big bird, difficult to catch, just to put a band on for monitoring is more detrimental than any positive that they would get from putting a band on that bird. A very Merry Christmas to you too, Kathy in New York from all the WildEarth crew. Kathy was wondering, have I ever seen a ground hornbill nest? They must be huge. I have, Kathy, and they are massive, absolutely massive. So we're now heading into the area where we might get a little bit of luck with tracks of Karula. I'm just going to see where James is working. James Ngenamoyen.
Go ahead.
what area are you working?
Of tracks of pack coming into one now with access part of the support team.
Okay, copy. I'm on Zoe's heading towards the Balanatis. I'll check from the opposite direction.
Copy that. I will then go straight to quarantine from
Copy, thanks. Confirm you've got those tracks already. Copy, thanks. So there's a report of a pack of wild dogs as well. James is following up on those in the area where we're also heading to look for Karula. So fingers crossed. Very warm, very windy Merry Christmas to Carol Christie on Twitter. And Carol would like to know, would the ground hornbills attack us if we're on foot, or would they fly away? They would fly away and move away from us. If you were to happen to try catch one, that beak could do some serious damage though. So while we keep checking around this area, hoping for sign of tracks, let us go get an update from the Christmas elf, James Hendry.
Well, you know, the luck of Christmas doesn't seem to be with us at the moment. We came herring across here at great speed. Reports of wild dogs heading on to Djuma. And unfortunately, they seem to have about turned and gone back west into Simbambili, which is deeply irksome of them. Anyway, so we're heading down here. They may come back this way. With any luck, they will. I'm just going to turn the game drive radio down. Otherwise, we'll see what else we can find. I'm just going to watch the ground quite closely again. And we'll just see what happens. Also, probably time to get into the... Well, I mean, we're in and around the area where Karula was yesterday, and so we might find her tracks as well. There was the hyena den in the offing. In fact, I might go there. Let's go and see what's happening at the hyena den. I will just keep checking the road for tracks of these dogs, though. So when you see me hanging over the right-hand side of the vehicle, that's what I'm doing. The sky is certainly closing in, and there's quite a chilly wind blowing. It's actually very pleasant having a chilly wind, as opposed to a welding torch to the face that is the sun at this time of the year. Now, while we drive along here, Zoe Dawn, you say that you have found, you've noticed some of the trees are fire damaged. Zoe, that is definitely the case on Arathusa. I haven't found any here on, certainly none of this is fire damaged at the moment that you can see around us here. But yes, you want to know this sort of a fire regime, a sort of general burning regime. Absolutely, Zoe, they do burn around here sometimes. And that's basically to clear off dry and moribund grass and inspire the grass plants to put up new green shoots. Sometimes people think that it clears away thick bush or thick trees, and it doesn't. Fire is basically used to clear away bush, at least to clear away old grass. And what the trees do is often they die on top if it's a hot fire, and then they sprout from the bottom. So very seldom does fire kill trees out here, and that's mainly because the trees have evolved to cope with fire. The tracks of an absolutely massive elephant bull on this road. Oh, he's gone off in there. Now, Matt in Atlanta, you say you know it's the dry season here now, but in the wet season we'll be able to see crocodiles. Matt, it's not supposed to be the dry season. It's supposed to be in the middle of the wet season at the moment. It's just being fairly droughtish at the moment, so we aren't seeing much rain. Crocodiles need permanent water, and I think that you'll find that once or twice over the years there may well have been crocodiles in some of the bigger dams of the area, around Buffelshoek Dam, maybe even in Djuma Dam, and certainly down in the Sand River there are plenty of crocodiles around. These kind of smaller dams and pans that we have around here would have seen crocodiles every so often, but probably not permanently. Very dog-free road. There's no tracks at all. Wild dogs. I didn't. Kath, you want to know if I found the flowers for the Christmas tree, and for the Christmas table last night? I didn't, Pat, because I was distracted by Karula. We didn't expect to find her where we found her, so it was very nice to find her. It did distract me completely from the task of retrieving mistletoe and leopard orchid for our Christmas table and for the tree. The Christmas tree itself is looking particularly mournful this morning because we took the lights out of it for the use on the table yesterday, so we'll have to return them to the tree later. Those lights that, by the way, were bought by Scott Dyson, and they were extracted with great fanfare because we thought we were going to have kilometers of lights. It turned out to be about 2 feet of fairly dim lights. So that was great disappointment. That was the marula tree Andrew was artistically showing you. As Louise says, at least we have a kilometre of cable to go without 2 feet of lights. We're coming towards quarantine clearings. I see absolutely no sign of any form of canid dog, so I think we're going to head off towards the hyena den and see what's there. It's not too far from here, only about 3 minutes drive. I have to put a rain jacket on. Deborah, you're wondering about a white Christmas in Africa. Just 1 second, Deborah, I will get back to you. You want to know if there's anywhere where it snows in Africa. Deborah, Africa, like I've said, is enormous, obviously, and it falls both sides of the equator. So half of Africa is actually in wintertime at the moment. I suppose there's definitely nowhere in southern Africa that will get snow at this time of year, not unless there was a very, very odd kind of weather occurrence. I just thought I may have seen Karula tracks, but I never did. Deborah, in North Africa, probably not either. You might, I don't know if they get snow on the Atlas Mountains. You could climb Mount Kilimanjaro. You could probably get some snow on there if you wanted to have a white Christmas. You could have a white Christmas there. It would also be fairly oxygen-free given the height. So not the best place to spend a white Christmas. But so those are the only places where you might, I think, find snow at this time of year in Africa. During our winter, of course, there's plenty of snow in South Africa, on the mountains. In the Eastern Cape Highlands, we get plenty of snow. like sort of northern hemisphere snow, though. And in this particular area, no snow at all. There's no local word for snow. So there's no Shangaan word for snow. There is a Zulu word for snow because a lot of the Zulus live around the mountains, and that's Iqua. That's a beautiful word, Iqua. The Shangaans have never lived around the snow. So we're around the Gallagher waterhole now, which is where Karula was sort of last seen heading yesterday evening when we left her. I wonder if she didn't get herself a Christmas meal. To know how big the property we drive on is. It's 1,500 hectares. Djuma is 900 hectares. North to the east of us, west of us, I always get that wrong. West of us is Arathusa, and that's 600 hectares. So 1,500 hectares in total, which is in acres about 4,000 acres. And you want to know why it is that we can't cross the boundaries? Because these are privately owned areas, and you know how territorial people get about their land. There are all sorts of complicated political machinations, financial implications of crossing boundaries. But people say, well, if you come onto my land, you must pay, and my land's better than your land, so you must pay, but more for coming onto yours. And I mean, it's all rather complicated. And I suspect at the end of the day, rather unnecessary. But yes, that is why we can't cross boundaries. It's just because of human property laws. So, the short answer is that the more land you want to traverse on, the greater the cost will be. I suppose it's fair enough. Right, we're arriving at the hyena den. There's some hope for some Christmas hyenas. Alice in Ohio, and you wanted to know if anybody was going to check the hyena den today. Well, here we are. Oh dear, nothing going on this side. Oh, there's one hyena on the top of the mound. Before I show you that one, let's just have a good look around. Thorough examination. Sitting here today. There we have Corky. Now Corky, of course, is the hyena with the great gash out of her ear and the dirty face. And there's another adult to the right of her on the top of the mound. It just popped her head up. But no little babies out at the moment. There you can see the flicking of an ear or tail. It's an ear. Otherwise, not a great deal going on here. Corky is sniffing the air. And yesterday we saw a hyena in the very, the great heat that was the Christmas Eve. And that hyena, of course, was covering itself in saliva in order to try and cool down. And apparently that's quite common, and Scott and Nikki saw Corky doing that to herself the other day. And, she's not the best-looking hyena at the best of times. And apparently covered in foamy saliva, she was even less attractive. No need for them to do that today. It's very cool.
That's interesting. What other animals do that? Because I've heard of kangaroos putting saliva on their arms.
Yes, that's absolutely correct, Andrew. Well done. We had a comment yesterday that somebody sent through about kangaroos putting saliva on their arms to try and cool down. And there are a few animals that will urinate on themselves in order to keep cool. I think you'll find hyenas will do that as well. And certainly we've seen hyenas urinating on the floor and then lying in that. And the birds do it quite a lot. They'll urinate and defecate on their legs to try and keep cool. I've definitely never seen any of the cats, though, covering themselves. Here we go. Ooh, interesting. So apparently also yesterday at Gallagher Waterhole, with Andrew, of course, there's a little one that's come out. May's come out. There were some hyenas throwing cooling sand over themselves. Happy Christmas, May. Would you like to wear my hat for a while? But certainly none of the cats that I know of, or any of the other dogs, will cover themselves in saliva. All is very calm here. I'm also hoping to see the little pygmy kingfishers who seem to be nesting in the hole that little May came out of. Thank you, Lynn, for your update. You say there were 2 hyenas on the Djuma Dam cam about 45 minutes ago. I wonder if they belong to this clan. I was telling Tristan, who comes from Simbambili, the other night that we have this amazing den with 3 generations here. And he said on Simbambili there's a huge clan of about 35, and they have 4 active dens going. I felt a bit humbled by that. I suppose it's quite good that we don't have 4 dens. We wouldn't know where to look. Shall you say that her right eye seems misshapen or injured? I think that's just wear and tear, Shell. You know, if you look at her face, the whole face looks like it has been sort of run over by a combine harvester, and it's just because she's a bit of a fighter, obviously. She's a very dominant female in this clan. I don't think the matriarch, but she's certainly very dominant, and that just comes from fighting. All hyenas, once they get to this age, if there's this level of dominance, normally look a bit like she does. Definitely smell or see something coming from the side. And look at the dust coming out of the mound. You see it there? Now, Barbara, you want to know what month's winter comes in Africa. Barbara, like I say, Africa is split in half by the equator. So the northern half of Africa will have winter at exactly the same time you do. So, you know, the north of Africa is in the midst of winter now. And then the rest of us are south of the equator. And we're having summer now, and we'll have winter during May, June, July, and August are the main months that would be considered our winter time. So exactly when you're having your summer, we'll be having our winter. I think we'll sit here for a little while. We won't probably spend too long here unless the little baby comes out. In Siberia, Zumi, you want to know if the Namakwa dove occurs here. You're obviously a very keen ornithologist, and lots of doves. The Namakwa dove I've seen once here, normally in drier areas, but yes, we would find the Namakwa dove here. The other doves we get would be ring-necked doves, red-eyed doves, emerald spotted wood doves. I feel like I'm leaving one out. Yes, laughing doves, and then also Namakwa doves. Natasha, you're absolutely right. You say Corky has got a lot of history etched onto her face. She sure does. Lots of stories to tell. Does Corky have? I'm sure she tells many to her little cubs during the course of the evening. Andrew, there's a plum-coloured, at least violet-backed starling in this Ziziphus above us. I can't see him right now. He just landed there. I heard him calling. Oh, well done. There he is. Is that the he or the she? It looks like the he. Now, Mrs. Plum-coloured starling, of course, a very drab bird. Brown, with a few flecks of more brown, but the male, beautiful violet-backed bird. That's him. And he's got this very soft little calls, a little whistle. This goes. Very interested as to what on earth she's looking at. Something is on the wind. Their noses, of course, are extremely sensitive, apparently the best olfactory senses of any animal out here. She'll smell a carcass at 4 or 5 kilometers. But something has definitely got her attention. And just while she's sitting up like that, look at the muscle mass in her neck, look at the muscles in her shoulders. She's a very powerful animal. I can hear one of the cubs calling from inside the den. Just going, meow, meow. Now, Lynn in Michigan, you were obviously around 2 weeks ago when there was a great hyena conflagration and one young female had her foot almost ripped off and one of her ears actually ripped off, and you want to know if we've seen her again. Lynn, we haven't seen hide nor hair of her, and I think we can probably safely say that she has shaken off this mortal coil. It's highly unlikely that she would have survived this long. It seemed to be an inter-clan fight. Very bizarre thing to see, especially as, at least intra-clan fight. It seemed that the hyena that was attacked was part of the clan, I think. Looking around to see what Corky might be looking at. Anna Marie, I agree with you completely. You say how interesting it would be if the animals could tell us their life stories. I think the big key about that is that we would, I think some of the theories that we've come up with to try and interpret the behavior that we see would be shown up to be complete nonsense. I think so often that we are so far away from what the reality is with animal social structures and behaviors, and we know what they eat and their communication and all that sort of thing. I'm just also listening out for the pygmy kingfisher that is nesting here. I haven't seen them today. I did hear one calling. Very sort of gentle whistling noise as well. Like a whistling rattle. There. That's one calling there. Psst, 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 psst. Otherwise, not a lot going on here. Yeah, Ashley on Twitter, you're absolutely correct. You say you watched a documentary with Kevin Richards in it recently, and you were shocked at the size of them. Yeah, they're not small. And that hyena that we're looking at now is a big female. She probably weighs 70 to 75 kilograms. And that in pounds is about 180 pounds, 190 pounds. She's a big animal. Gerry van der Walt, as we watch her sitting there with her neck out in full display. Sorry, Andrew, before I answer that question, there's a puffback shrike there going. Yeah, I think it's blown off. Sorry. It was on that scraggly tree there. I'm just trying to find it now on the camera. There. That scraggly bush there. But it's flown away now. So, Gerry, yes, very powerful necks they have, the hyenas, and it's to support those incredible jaw muscles that they have. Very, very powerful jaws, and it goes onto the sagittal crest. I mean, there's a whole gap on the top of the skull where the muscles attach because they need those incredibly powerful jaws to crush the bones that make up a large proportion of their meals. What is she looking at? Something's really got her attention. It might be Andrew's aftershave. Except you haven't shaved. Yeah, and a very good question, Aline, about, that conflict that happened. What would make hyenas want to kill one of their own? If it was inter-clan, so between two clans, it would just be a territorial battle, and then it would be pretty obvious. But it isn't. It doesn't seem to have been. It seems to have been intra-clan related. So why they should have fought like that, I don't know. I really don't know. Unless that, maybe that female had gone off and dispersed to another clan and then come back. I really don't know. Quite often, though, the hyenas from different clans are more closely related than some of the hyenas within a clan. And that's because the males do disperse quite a lot. And so the genetic diversity within a clan is often quite high. And a comment from Angie on Twitter that perhaps Corky is just watching out for Santa. Pause. Thank you, Angie. She might be. All right, I think we're going to leave this hyena here. She's not doing a great deal. She doesn't seem to be about to call her cubs out, her twins. It was very unfair of her not to give us a Christmas gift of a view of her twins. So let's head out and see what else we can find. Let's head across to Brent while we drive out of here. And Brent's, the hat that he's got for us, while very kind, they cost him 11 Rand each. Now, that means that that's the equivalent of... That's the equivalent of about 80 US cents, about 20 pence in Britain, and the result of that is that they're very scratchy and will probably result in a severe rash on my balding head at the end of the drive. Let's head across to Brent. I will see you shortly.
So I hear James is being nasty about my Christmas hats, saying that they're very cheap, that they wear, and they are going to cause a rash on his head. I actually find them quite comfortable. It's because I've got hair and it acts as a cushion between the cheap, scratchy fabric and my head. But just an update on what we are doing. We're still checking this area around quarantine for Karula, the Queen of Djuma. And if we get no luck here, I'm going to head towards that mud wallow or mud hole where the elephants have been excavating and keeping water, just to see if that big herd has moved through to that area. No tracks of Karula coming out of the block yet. Well done at Jenny M on Twitter, who's noticed that most of the animals seem to be on high alert today, and that's because of this gusting wind. It makes them harder for them to hear a predator approaching and also to smell. And also with the gusting wind, they'll get chance smell of a predator and then nothing. So it does get them on a little bit of a high alert. Good if you are hunting, if you are a predator and you are hunting, but if you are a prey species, it's definitely not ideal. At the moment, the only tracks I'm seeing are of elephants, and I think it's of the same herd we saw earlier. So far, it looks like the Christmas cats are evading us. Hopefully, if they do not show on the sunrise safari, we'll get some luck on the sunset safari. Merry Christmas, Lucy in Columbus, Ohio. And Lucy says, if impalas burp for their alarm call, then why do they stand around the pan at the Djuma waterhole and burp at each other? Well, the burp is not an alarm call, that's a contact call between impalas. Their alarm call is a snort, a sort of and it's much louder than that sort of burp that you hear when they're talking to each other. Since it is Christmas, Ravi in New York would like to know what are my favorite Christmas memories. Oh, there are too many to go through, Ravi, but probably one from my younger years that stands out is we're actually in the Timavati Game Reserve, which is a little bit to the north of us. Hang on a second, I thought I heard a squirrel alarming. I did. Now what are you alarming at and where are you? Squirrel is there. they weren't alarming. They were making sweet Christmas babies. And it looks like they're about to attempt to make another sweet Christmas baby. The other squirrel has gone around the other side of the tree. Oh, they've gone for a bit of privacy. So back to Ravi and my story. As I said, we're staying in the Timavati Game Reserve, which is a bit north of us. And my parents used to have great trouble getting my younger brother and myself to bed. I, of course, was going to track and find Father Christmas, even at that age, and I'd already set a plan on how to discover him, and I had a handheld spotlight at the ready. And my parents were obviously needing to prepare for the next morning. So we had, all of a sudden, a couple of hyena ran down the riverbed in front of the house, whooping incessantly and very loudly. And my dad came up with a cunning plan, and he said, if you boys don't see those hyena chasing Father Christmas because they've been naughty and they're not getting any presents and they're begging from him so if you guys don't go to bed, you're not going to get any Christmas presents in the morning. So that is how he convinced us that we should go to sleep. Hang on. I think it's just an impala being city. I just saw it running at really high speed. Monkeys on the ground, so definitely no predator. There you go. Let's try have a look. Oh, monkeys everywhere. And they are now running away from us because I came in a bit hot because I thought that impala might have a wild dog behind it the way it was running. See if we can find those monkeys again. Oh, they're very jumpy in this weather. They keep running. The wind as well, not ideal for them. Desiree in Canada says she's seen some monkeys on the Djuma camp and wonders whether they live there and what kind they are. There we go, in the tree in front of us. Desiree, they're the same as these monkeys we're looking at. The one on the bottom's got a baby on her belly. They're called vervet monkeys. And they're the only monkey species we get here. And they will have a territory, but they don't necessarily live at the pan all the time, but they'll move up and down between areas. You can see little baby attached to her belly and travel around with her for quite some time while it's still very small. You can see how that little baby grips on. You see she's going to go hide now from us behind the leaves, using the leaves as a protective screen. So they're not very relaxed, and I don't want to get them too stressed, especially because she's got a very small baby. So let's leave her be. So we're going to head down towards the treehouse waterhole, see if anything's happening there. Oh, branch blown down from the wind. Let's go across to James, who's got another one I'm sure is on your Christmas wish list. Let's go have a look what it is.
Beautiful giraffe here, everybody. We are filming him on the VR rig at the moment, and he's just having a drink. Look at his legs. They're doing a kind of giraffe splits. And he's being very confiding about this whole business because he's standing pretty close to us. You know, very, very vulnerable on giraffe when they drink. Now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very seldom do they drink for longer than 10 seconds at a time because of the incredible pressure that builds up in the head when they put their heads below the heart. That's because the heart is so large, because it must pump all of that blood up into the brain, up that huge neck. And Naha, you say you wanted a Christmas giraffe. Well, here he is for you. The heart is in there, of course, and it must pump all the way up that neck, which, despite its length... despite its length, also has only 7 cervical vertebrae, which is exactly the same as you have. This is wonderful. We do not often see this at all. And sometimes you see them flick their heads back a bit, and that head flicking is just to help push the blood out of their heads. You can see very nicely there his median horn, if you like, or the ossification of his skull. So he's a good aged giraffe, this chap. I put him at roughly 15 years, probably potentially lived for 20 out here. And I'd say he's about 15, he's in his prime, just sort of getting to the stage where he'll get a bit old. And look at that tongue. Unbelievable how long it is. I think it's the longest tongue, if I'm not mistaken, of any land mammal. Nice view also there of the baldness on the top of his ossicones or horns, and that's from fighting with other giraffe. Might also be able to hear over to the right-hand side. You can hear some squirrels' alarm calling. And I wonder, this is a roundabout where Karula, the 11-year-old queen of Djuma, the leopard, was found yesterday. She was found just the other side over there, and I wonder if she isn't around here.
I've just come down from the north on that track that goes through to Manialeti borders. Very good way to come.
I'm just turning down the game drive radio. They have a sighting on Biffel's Hook of some lions. I definitely think it's going to be worth taking a little gander in the bushes here. We might just sit here for a while and see if Karula doesn't pop out. Look at that tongue flapping into each nostril. Watched him do the splits now. It's just incredible. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Now, Jenny M., you say that that is an awkward position. It's a very awkward position. It's awkward and it's also dangerous. So for a giraffe to be in that compromised position, that's very difficult. Were it the pride of lions to come herring out of the bushes here, they would stand a very good chance of catching him, because he cannot get up quickly from that position. He obviously also can't see what's going on behind him. That's one of the other reasons that he will stand up while he's waiting for the blood to drain out of his brain. He'll stand upright like that. You know, he won't just stand there with his legs split apart. And Angie, you say your knees hurt just watching him. I know exactly what you mean. Now, he spotted something in the bush there. I wonder if it isn't that female leopard. He doesn't look particularly panicked. Well, he wouldn't if it was a female leopard, but he'd definitely react. The squirrels have stopped shouting. Let's go and look with my binoculars. Now, Robin in Maryland, you want to know about these horns on the giraffe, the ossicones, and if they grow from the base or from the top. Robin, I think initially they grow from the top, and that's because they, of course, are detached from the skull when the animal is born. They're born with those horns, and they're sort of folded down onto the front of the head, and then they stand up after sort of 3 or 4 days, and then they fuse with the skull. And I think they do grow a bit from the skull then, but if I'm not mistaken, they do grow largely from the tip. But I might be wrong there. Now, as I have said before, some astonishing Twitter handles that we get through here, and this one is now the new cake taker for me. Wolfman's got nads. Wolfman's got nads. You want to know? It's nods. Wolfman's got nods. Any idea what a nod is, Andrew? No. Wolfman's got nods. You want to know if giraffe are related to deer because they have horns? No, they're not, you know, Wolfman. The similarity, I suppose, would be that they're both ruminants, which means that they both re-chew their food, just like a cow would, so that they eat their first meal, they chew it a bit, goes down into the first chamber of the stomach, then they regurgitate it and chew it later. She's definitely seen something down there. I'm going to keep a very steady eye. I wonder if it isn't a hyena or maybe karula. So they are not related to deer, other than that, really. Their horns are very different from a deer's antlers. Antlers, of course, will fall off each year, and the antlers or the horns of a giraffe never fall off. Thank you, Wolfman's got nods. Perhaps you could tell us what a nod is. I'm just going to turn off the VR rig. Not right now, because the giraffe's moving, Andrew. Lois, you want to know, I think it's a good question, if giraffe ever get dizzy when they come up from drinking. I think it's a very good question. I think they probably do, you know. They kind of lift their heads and then they stand and they look a little bit sort of shocked for a while, and then they kind of look a bit more like they're okay. It's probably a slight dizziness. I doubt it's enormously dizzy. So he's going to go off into the bush. We're going to head down there and see if we can't find the leopard. So Mike in Tampa, Florida, while this giraffe disappears, you say you've been lucky enough to hand feed a giraffe. I'm sure that was an amazing experience. I've never hand-fed a giraffe, but I believe you can do so at a giraffe manor, which I think is just outside Nairobi. I just have to turn that off. It's not working manually, at least with a remote. Here we go, Andrew.
Thank you, sir.
One does what one can.
And the audio, please.
And the audio off. Thank you. There we go. Anything else you'd like me to do? Perhaps serve you a cup of tea and make you some porridge. Right, let's just check around the place here now. I can also hear the general manager's dogs giving a little bit of a bark through there. They bark when they see predators. We will not be able to get a vehicle in there though. Well, we could, we'll just never get that out again. So we'll look around here for a little while quickly now, and then maybe come into this area again. So Karula likes, especially as she's getting a little older, seems to like this area more and more and more. And as Brent was saying yesterday, I think he walked down into that sort of particular spot there. There are 3 or 4 drainage lines that make it almost impossible to get a vehicle into. And I wonder if she doesn't know that. I wonder if that is why she's spending more time around here. Hello, Carol, on Twitter. Yes, you're quite correct. You say, isn't there a giraffe skull in the collection of Djuma? Yes, we have one hanging from our camp, sort of the fence in our camp. So, yeah, we can certainly try and have a look at that at some stage. You do see the ossicones quite nicely, and you can see quite nicely that median horn, the calcification of the skull that occurs when the bulls fight with each other. Watch quite carefully for tracks here. Don't see anything at the moment. Oh, by the way, my Christmas hat was replaced, of course, because I was doing the virtual reality stuff. And there's no reason for my Christmas hat not to be on, especially when it's covering my bald spots. Disintegrating already, this hat. Yeah, now you see, this is what I thought. Shamrock, you sent through mail saying that the term nards is a colloquialism for testicles. That's precisely what I thought it was. That is why I thought that Wolf's Got Nards was quite an amusing Twitter handle. We'll call you WGN, I think, from now on, and lovely to hear from you. Brothers, you're in Texas and you want to know if giraffe will kill snakes. No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, if they happen to cross a black mamba and the mamba looked like it might, I think they'd react to a mamba. And if the mamba didn't back off, they might try and stamp on it, yes. But they certainly wouldn't actively go after killing snakes, no. None of the animals out here are particularly fond of snakes. You say you also fed the giraffe by hand in the San Francisco Zoo when you were a child, and you say the tongue almost grabbed your hand and the carrot that was in it. That must have been very frightening for a wee girl. Andrew, you will tell me if you see the leopard, won't you? Copy that. Thanks. Just check with Andrew sometimes. Reset him every so often. I don't see any pug marks from the leopard though in this area. sort of past the Djuma Dam, and then we'll turn around and come back in this direction. Right, let's head across to Brent, who is with the main beneficiaries of the lion absence at the Djuma at the moment. We'll see you shortly.
So, very Merry Christmas to the baby wildies. Are quite happy, I'm sure, that the lions are not around, as they are favourite little snacks for lions. You see, nice cool morning. Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy. You can already see on some of the little wildies the horns starting to break through the surface of the skin on the head. Very, very cute. And what I am hoping in this cool weather, wildebeests sometimes like to have those silly, playful moments that chase each other around. They are such funny-looking animals. So wildebeests, even though they look like they might be closely related to cows, they're actually an antelope. And Carolina is wondering whether sable is a part of the antelope family. They are indeed. Their full name is a sable antelope. There's a small chance we might see them in this area. I know they've been seen to the east of us a few times. The wildebeest being quite quiet this morning. None of that nyeh, nyeh. So Lucy in South Bend, Indiana, is wondering whether the camera operators are wearing Christmas hats as well. No, Lucy, they're funny looking enough as it is. We don't want to put the poor creatures through too much trauma. Penny Pine would like to know whether James will be singing everyone a Christmas song. I'm afraid you're going to have to ask James that. I've been encouraging him to release a Christmas album, but he's not too keen. So a little bit jumpy in this windy weather, and especially with all the little babies around. There you can see, a little bit jumpy. Move forward a little bit. And also I've discovered if you don't leave the car off for too long, the signal blocker doesn't kick in. So hopefully we will not be stuck. Hello, wildly beasts. To you too. You can see that's windy weather, quite jumpy. What are you snorting at now? Not us, or you're just snorting for the sake of snorting? Looks, whatever they're snorting at, it seems to be over the other side of quarantine. might be worth going to have a quick look. We can come back to them shortly. It might even just be snorting at a smell. As I said, with this gusting wind, they might get a whiff of a leopard or a lion. And since they were both leopard and lion in this area, it's probably nothing, but rather be safe than sorry. Probably smelling some lion dung or leopard dung from last night. It was a half-hearted snort, but when it's quiet, it's very important to follow up on any little lead. So those little wildies are starting to get their horns, and Dr. Debbie is wondering, do they hurt when they come through the skin, like when babies teeth? I don't think that they hurt too much. I think they itch more than anything else. You see them scratching it quite often, and they're a little bit further out, but I don't really see any signs of pain on them. And what have we got here? Apart from slapping myself in the face, the biting flies literally woke up in the last 10 minutes. There was one on my nose. Well, the only thing I can see on this side of quarantine is two very lazy buffalo bulls. Look like they're enjoying a snooze in the middle of the clearing. There we go, lazy buffalo bulls. No sign of Queen Karula. Jenny, good Merry Christmas to Jenny M. Jenny M would like to know, do wildebeest calves sleep in the middle of the herd like buffalo do? When they all bed down, they do, but they sometimes will sleep on the peripheries while the herd is feeding. So Terry would like to know which is larger, tree squirrels or dwarf mongoose. I would probably say the tree squirrel is slightly larger, definitely longer, but I definitely think a tree squirrel would be slightly larger. Just going to check another little bit of a loop for the Queen of Djuma. She's got to be around here somewhere. Lyle in Washington, Merry Christmas, Lyle, has wondered, have I ever accidentally hit the horn? I have. He's wondering, what would the animals do? Sometimes they run away, sometimes they just sort of get a fright and then get used to it. It is a very unusual sound for them, and it's not that difficult to do if you're driving. So you just, oh, this one doesn't work anymore. But I think, no, what vehicle was James on the other night? Well, I know the horns works on some of the vehicles, not on this one, or it might start working. Quite often there's lots of loose connections on these vehicles from rattling around. So, let's get a safety quickly. There we go. Look at that. That's a plum-coloured starling or an amethyst. Or violet-backed starling. It's got a few names. Probably the brightest birds we've got out here. Oh, off it goes. Let's try and get a bit forward. So that's the male who gets this wonderful colour during the breeding season. And during the winter months, he becomes as drab as the lady. And if we look carefully around, we might spot the lady as well. But there's the male eating white berry bush. Very, very pretty bird. Eating a flugia or verosa or white berry bush. And I think the fruit's a little bit too green for me just yet, and it almost looks too green for him because he discards some of the ones that he's what an incredibly beautiful sighting of this incredibly beautiful bird. And he's being very, very forthcoming. Normally they're quite shy and retiring. I'm looking to see where the female is. She shouldn't be too far. Look at that effervescence. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? Beautiful, beautiful bird. Oh, was that the lady who just arrived? I couldn't see. Let's just wait a little second, see if she hops up. Or if it's another bird. Roll back a bit. Or maybe go forward a bit. And sneak forward. Can't really see. Oh, look, there comes. Well, we're not going to take the camera off here. Let's go. There's quite a few little birds in here. I'm just trying to spot the female violet-backed starling. Starling, James! Starling, gone. Violet-backed starling, gone.
Sorry, we've seen one of those already.
Oh. Well, sabotage by James Henry on Christmas morning. I think he's lost his Christmas spirit. He's now looking very sheepish driving away and apologizing profusely. So, well, the birds have gone. We'll carry on, see what else we can find. There we go. There's another bird on the branch there that James didn't manage to nearly run over. Oh, off it went. It's a red-billed buffalo weaver, but a juvenile that doesn't have that red bill yet. Well, I hope James is punished severely for his bad behavior on Christmas with no leopard or lion or wild dog sightings for the whole day. Yes, I think we might even have to take away his mince pie ration. There are the last tracks we know of Karula heading up for Yatila access. We can't find where she's gone from here. So I'm going to try and check very carefully again. They're going to be quite difficult to see in this light. And there's also tracks of a male leopard here as well, but I'm not going to try to show you. We're not going to be able to see them. It's quite difficult. But I'm just going to keep checking this area and maybe check Aubrey's Road. I don't think anyone's checked Aubrey's yet this morning. someone is feeling ashamed of the very bad Christmas spirit. So let's go across for what we hope is a heartfelt apology, not just sort of smoothing over the edges.
God rest you, merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay, for Jesus Christ our Saviour was born upon this day, to save us all from woe and sin when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
There you are, everybody.
Wunderbar.
We said we'd do you a little Christmas carol, and the wildebeests are alarm calling after the sound of my voice, and I must apologise profusely for chasing away the violet-backed starling. I thought Brent was just staring blankly into the bushes there. Sorry about that. Anyway, I think he's just shown you these wildebeests, so we won't sit here for long. But as I was just saying before we linked to him, he was with these wildebeests. The big beneficiaries of the fact that we haven't had lions around here are these chaps. Lions love a tiny wildebeest. You can see half of them still have their umbilical cords hanging from their bellies. And every day they will get slightly stronger, you know, and if they can get to a month old, they'll have such just a much better chance of surviving. They're so easy to kill for lions, and lions will often kill sort of 2 or 3 at a time. And apparently Brent said that the little horns are already starting to erupt. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's just a few, I mean, they're what? Some of them barely 2 weeks old. Very sweet. And our tiny migration, if this remains a lion-free area, will become a much more vast migration fairly soon, which is great. Right, let's head off to Treehouse Dam, I think now. Will be our next port of call. See what we can find there. Djuma in Arizona, you were curious to know whether Brent and I exchanged gifts this morning when we were watching. We're sort of sharing a gift, really. Oh, look at this beautiful bird. It's a batalier. And you can see the clouds starting to break up a bit. And there's a batalier enjoying a bit of the heat that's now coming off the ground using the thermals. It's a juvenile batalier. Beautiful. I think they're just the best to watch flying. Beautiful bird. You can see it wobbling. It's got that very unstable design, but able to fly very low. Chris Rogue, you say Brent is going to give me a lump of coal for breakfast, or for Christmas. I think he might after that starling incident. You should have seen the look that Tebbs gave us. Brent took it all in relatively good humour. Tebbs looked like somebody had just kidnapped his family. Anyway, I will have to apologise to him when I get home. So no, Brent has not given me a gift. We sort of share. We've bought a nice bottle of malt, which we'll share over the next coming days, weeks. Poor old Tebbs, oh dear. He's not going to want to drive with me again. For your kind compliments on the, or thank yous for the Christmas carol. We had Christmas carols last night, of course. It was the other thing I forced upon the rest of the crew. It was a lengthy reporting of carols from King's College, Cambridge. Tibbs was marginally less impressed than he was today when I drove past snarling. Brent said we needed some rock music. Andrew, I think you enjoyed the carols, didn't you? Yes, there we go. Andrew enjoyed the carols. Larry in California. We did see a couple of vultures a bit earlier before we watched that batelier, and you want to know if the vultures nest on the ground or in sticks and trees. Larry, we get 5 different species of vulture here. One of them, the Cape vulture, nests in cliff tops, so they go off into the mountains there and they nest in the cliffs, and then the others all nest in very kind of uncomfortable looking tree nests of sticks. Big sort of long thorny twigs is where they lay their eggs, but always in the tops of trees. Good question, thanks Larry. So filled with hope at the beginning of this drive that we were going to spend most of it with large cats, given the wonderful pictures that we got of those 2 lions on the dam wall, but alas. Anyway, it's been a very pleasant drive, nevertheless. Los Angeles, you're very kindly thanking Brent and I for the drive this morning, well, this evening for you over there. It's been our absolute pleasure, and certainly to share Christmas with so many people around the world is a real privilege, so thank you all for taking part of it. I think there's another nest there. Spotted a lilac-breasted roller coming out of a tree hole. I'm going to go back and see. There's the roller. It's flown off now. Let's just have a look. I'll tell you what we'll do. I don't have quite the equipment that Scott does, but we might be able to look straight into that tree hole. Let's just have a look. The snake doesn't come out of its head. On the edge of this tree, I think that there's a nest inside here. This is called the drive by touch method. There we go. I think we've reached the tree, Andrew. Right, let's go and have a look in the hole there and see if there aren't any chicks. I need my phone because it's got a torch on it. There we go. Have you got a... Oh, Andrew's actually got a torch. Brilliant. It's much better.
Everything in the moon bag, yeah.
Everything in the moon bag. Everything of any use. Ready! It's Christmas time! No, there isn't even a hole here. There's been some squirrel activity. They've eaten these marula nuts.
What the web? There's like a lot of webs on the left. Maybe it was doing something there.
It was eating spiders out of the web, perhaps. Maybe. I think it may have just been sitting here. Hello? Hello? No response. No. Now, I was so excited because Scott Dyson, of course, finds nests around every corner. I've found 2 this season. 3, sorry. He's found about 48. Anyway, no nest there. Andrew, do you see how amazingly balanced and agile I am? There you are. And here is a marula nut. And the nuts, of course, are very delicious if you can extract the flesh. The flesh sits in these little sort of alien head holes that look like eyes. And the squirrels with their little rodent teeth are able to get the flesh out. But if you're a human being trying to get them out, it really is a sort of more effort than it's worth. Right, on we go. Right, let's head back to Brent while we head towards the dam, and I will see you very shortly.
So we last search for Karula, the queen of Djuma. I've got a feeling she might have cut into this block. I just want to check these big game paths that she might have utilized. Even better still, find her sitting atop a termite mound. So the last tracks are probably about 400 meters down this road. They have been driven over already. So I want to check some nice big game paths that come off here. See if she didn't utilize one of these. Doesn't look like it. Where has Queen Karula gone? Tony in Holland is wondering, because the Birmingham boys have taken over an area so young, will they hold the area for longer than the normal 2 to 3 years? Well, Tony, when you have large male lion coalitions, 5 years old is not young to be taking over an area. It's probably about right. And generally they do hold the territories for a little bit longer, normally sort of 4 to 5 years on some occasions. But not too young. And no sign of Karula's tracks yet, but we go very slowly past here. A couple of other game paths to check. Come on, Karula. Make an appearance. As you can see, the sun has exploded through the cloud cover. So I think our Christmas lunch by the pool will be effective, because I think it's going to heat up quite a bit before then. Now guys, I want you to let me know, do you think we should let James have his mince pies after his dastardly behavior, or should we ban him from mince pies? Let us know by using the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or email us on questions@wildearth.tv. Where did she go? interesting. See, the elephants have walked over her tracks here, so they were definitely early in the evening last night. And that makes life very difficult to figure out where she's gone. But Penny Pine on Twitter would like to know, do the guides ever avoid wearing cologne or deodorant? Do the smells of that affect the animals? No, not really here, Penny, but if the only area where I've known it's been a big problem is when where I was working in the Central African rainforest, tracking unhabituated gorillas and chimpanzee. They were very sensitive to smells, sort of external smells, so we wouldn't wear any smelly stuff while trying to find them. Don't fly away. Another nice little bird. I'm just hoping it sits for a little bit longer. Top of the quarry there, Tibbs. And there we go. A little black crowned chagra. You got him?
Right, sorry about that, everybody. Brent's camera battery died. Well, that's what he says. We are with you for the next few minutes. I think we've only got about 8 left. Now, I came down here to try and find a leopard orchid, which used to be, I'm pretty sure, in a dead tree standing over here. And maybe an elephant has pushed it over. I was hoping for a Christmas leopard orchid. Drive very slowly down here and see if we can't find it. It's hardly an unobvious tree. Andrew, you don't remember it, do you?
No.
It was definitely here. Maybe I will spot another one. I think I did spot another one. Whether I can get into that tree or not is another matter. There's one there. Pretty sure I can't get into this tree though. Not without doing myself a Christmas injury, and no one wants that. There we go, Andrew, can you see it? Serious off-roading Christmas leopard orchid. Eh? I don't think I can. I'm just assessing the situation. No, I don't think I can. There are no flowers on it anyway. There is the smell of something dead, though. Something has died in this vicinity. Oh well. Up in the trees, often when there's a smell of something dead this time of the year, it's the baby impala snatched by a leopard. Christmas breakfast. No. Oh well, sorry about that, everyone. Ooh. Sorry about that, Andrew. Right, oh dear. Reef, we might be stuck in here for days. Question about what my favourite Christmas memory is. I'm not really sure. I think I have so many very pleasant Christmas memories from family Christmases, so I don't know that I can pick out a favourite one, and probably not one that wouldn't make that would make any sense if you hadn't sort of been there. Right, that's it from me this morning. We're going to head back to Brent. He's managed to fix his battery. We'll put a new battery on the car. A big thank you to Andrew for your Christmas cheer this morning. Thank you, Andrew. And thanks to Louise, all on her own in the final control, doing a sterling job there. Thank you to my great pal, Brent Leo Smith, for the hat and for just general good cheer, and to Tibbs, of course, on the back of his vehicle, and to all of you. Have a very merry, wonderful Christmas, and I hope you wake up, if it's not Christmas Day yet, I hope you wake up to great presents and a wonderful day. And for those of you for whom Christmas is probably finished in the Far East, I hope that you have a great Boxing Day. We will see you this afternoon. Bye-bye, keep well, and see you later.
So, it seems the general consensus is that we should give James his mince pies. I agree, but we're going to make him sweat a little bit. And it has been fantastic being in the bush for Christmas with such great friends and having all of you along for the ride, the sunrise safari and yesterday's sunset safari. So Tibbs, Lou, James, Andrew, and our visitor from afar, Lou's boyfriend Marcus. It's been wonderful having you all here, and hopefully on the sunset safari we might find a few Christmas cats. Karula's definitely around, so I'm sure James and I will definitely work quite hard to try find her. Weather, it's going to be interesting to see what it does during the day. I think it's going to clear up and heat up. So a good place to look for Karula would be around the waterholes. And a big thank you to all of those who joined us on this sunrise safari on Christmas morning. And thank you for all your Merry Christmas wishes. We really do appreciate that. And a very big WildEarth Merry Christmas to everyone out there. So from all of us here, we will see you in a few hours on the sunset safari.